All right, folks, I'm going to take you through the basic steps of tying what I think is the easiest rig out there, and it's the Carolina rig. Some call it a fish finder rig, but we're going to use the name Carolina rig. It's just kind of what I go by with it. So first thing you're going to need is some type of leader material. I'm using some heavy 60-pound Andy monofilament. I fish for catfish, and it's a good abrasion resistant line. You don't have to go with 60. I happen to have this here. 50 is plenty, and if you're fishing for smaller fish, let's say you're fishing for catfish, channel catfish, you could even go with some 30-pound line. I prefer clear. You can go with the fluorocarbon. I don't think you need to spend the extra money to do it. So that's my opinion on that one. You're going to need the leader material. You're going to need a hook. I love circle hooks. Circle hooks are the way to go. Basically, a circle hook is a hook whose point bends back in and goes perpendicular to the shank of the hook. This is an octopus hook. You can see there that it's got the bent eye on it. That makes it an octopus hook. You're going to need a swivel, just a plain swivel. Size will vary depending on what size fish you're fishing for, how heavy a line you're using, that kind of thing. We got a nice big one here that we can see. You're also going to need a sinker slide if you want to change out the weights that you are using. I like using sinker slides just because I can vary the weight depending on what I'm doing, or take it off completely without untying stuff. I'll give you some other options on what you can do there as far as skipping that step, but it makes it very easy. So first thing we're going to do is cut off a piece of leader. Folks, it goes back and forth on how much leader material you need. I'm going to go with a piece that's probably, I don't know, 16, 18 inches, a little bit big. Cut off about 20% more than you need for the knots. Mine is that long, as you can see there. First thing we're going to do is put the hook on. I snell a octopus hook, and I'm going to show you how I do it. I use a uni knot. Very, very simple knot to do. You're going to take the line, go in from the upper side. Don't come in from the back side. Come in from up here. You're going to go through, get about that much line, enough to grab. This is where it helps to use some extra line. Don't be skimpy on your leader line. Pinch it with your finger, just like that. What you're going to do is make a loop, just like that. Now this is a thick wire hook here, so probably needed more line. I'm going to pull a little bit more off here just so I got more to play with. The more line you have here on this end, the easier it is to tie this knot. And then you're going to wrap this around the shank and the line of the hook. So remember, you have the line going down the shank of the hook through the guy, pinch it, make you a loop, boom, just like that. It's hard to grab there on that big thick wire hook. And then you're going to make these loops around both the line that was down the shank and the shank itself. We'll go around here 3, 4, 5, 6 times. I'm going to go around about 4 or so. Come back through. And then what you're going to do is pull that tight. What I do is just hold the line with my teeth. Don't pull with your teeth. And then you're going to pull on this end. Boom. That baby is on there and it's solid. A lot of people leave this on. I cut it. This snail does not slip, so I don't worry about that. So you've got the hook on and an open end right here. This is where you're going to tie on your swivel. Now, so you may be wondering, what does this swivel do? The swivel turns. Basically, both ends, it spins. It cuts down on any spin or twist that you get in your line, whether it be from a fish tumbling in the water, that kind of thing. What you're going to do is run your line through there, through the end of the swivel. And this is called an improved clinch knot. You're going to cross it over, just like that. Go through there, boom, it's crossed. And then you're going to make 3 or 4 wraps with this around, boom. So you're up to that. You've got that opening right there. You're going to take this back through like that. You went through that little opening created there when you came through the swivel, and then back through this opening. So you're basically going to take the line back through 2 openings. Again, hold it with your teeth. Don't pull with your teeth. Look like this. Boom, and that'll pull down nice and tight. You can snug that up with your hands to clean and dress that knot up. And boom, that baby's in place. Again, I like to trim off the tag end. Some people like to leave it. I know that knot's not going anywhere, so it's like to get snagged on grass and everything else. Boom, right there is your Carolina rig, fish finder rig. Now what's gonna happen on this end, you're gonna tie your main line. This is the line that goes back to your reel onto the open end on that swivel. But before you do, you're gonna put a sinker onto that line. Now I've got some yellow monofilament over here. We'll pretend this is the line that is going to your reel. What you're gonna do is put a sinker on it. Now here's where the options come in. You can put a sinker directly onto that line. What this does is, going through there, it allows this line to move back and forth while that sinker is pinned onto the bottom. A lot of people like that because fish don't feel any resistance. The other option is to use a sinker slide. This is that little blue thing I showed you earlier. You put that through there, and this allows you to swap out your sinkers. Like here, I've got a 4-ounce sinker. The one that was on the line was a 3-ounce sinker. Maybe I need something heavier, maybe I need something lighter. The one little twist is here, you do need a sinker that has some type of eye on it so that you can put it onto here, because these, with the hole going all the way through them, will not attach. So kind of depends what works for you. I love using a sinker slide. And then all you do, simply tie your main line onto here. Again, another improved clinch knot. Now look how easy this knot ties because it's only 30-pound line. It ties so much easier than that heavy stuff. Again, pull it through there. Hold it with your teeth to get it started. And look how that cinches down. Really, really nice. Trim that up, guys. And man, you're ready to fish. That rig is tied. It's ready to go. Again, your weight here, it's going to vary depending on how much current you've got, how far you're trying to cast it, that type thing. But that rig right there is your Carolina rig. Some people call it a fish finder rig. This one is with a sinker slide. Like I said, you can do it with a sinker in line on here. Either one of them work. Hook size, it's going to vary depending on your bait. Put a hook on there that matches your bait. In other words, if you have a small bait, use a small hook. If you have a huge bait, use a huge hook. Don't put the hook on there for the fish that you are trying to catch, because it could be too big or way too small. So it's a great rig. It will catch a lot of different fish out there. I fish for catfish a lot. You can use this to catch a lot of different fish, especially when using cut bait and putting baits on the bottom. Now, one other caveat to this, and I'll show you real quick, is if you were using an inline sinker, is that this does not have to be fished on the bottom. You could take the big heavy sinker off, put a small inline sinker on here, and I've got a really small sinker here just to show you the dramatic difference. Run your line through that, boom, it's on here. Again, tied up. And what you can do here is, because this is a much smaller weight, you could actually use this underneath a bobber, or possibly fishing it suspended underneath a boat or maybe off of a pier. The great thing about the Carolina rig is very versatile. You don't always have to fish it on the bottom. This could be fished suspended, just hanging down underneath the boat. This would pull the your rig down toward the bottom, and you can vary the depth, whether it be with the reel or using a bobber or some type of float up from it. So good versatility there. The other thing with this rig, we do this, we cut the sinker off, we throw the sinkers back in the tackle box, and we just tie this line here straight on to the swivel without any sinker. And what you can do here is, if you are free lining baits, and what that means is putting them out without any kind of weight, you've got this thing tied up just like that. No weight on it whatsoever. If you have a, let's say, put a smaller hook on here, put a live bait on here, throw it out, let it swim around. The only thing that's pinning it down is that right there. Very little stuff in the way. It's another option for this rig. This rig's hard to beat, guys. It's a very simple rig, but a very effective rig. And go catch some fish with it.